Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode 21 of the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian, this is your host, Penny, and as always, we want to say thank you to all of our returning viewers and welcome any new viewers. I do want to say one thing in regards, I guess you've got to consider this an announcement, but if anybody watched last week's episode and noticed a cut towards the end of the video, I want to apologize for that. We had just gotten done recording, and I went back and when I uploaded it, it cut off like a good, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Just enough for you to do your outro, but it's like, there was no reason for it to have done that, because I hit stop at the end like I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So, just in advance, if you ever see any cuts in the videos again... That's probably what happened. It just stopped recording for whatever reason. But apart from announcements, I don't think there's anything really.
Well, I'm going to give one.
You are? Okay.
Yep. So again, welcome to our regular viewers and welcome to any new viewers. The announcement I want to give is that we are still giving away a $20 electronic gift card from Amazon. And in order to do that, what it entails is that we want you to tell us which episode you watched, why you liked it, and how it changed you or helped you specifically. You can put your comment or, those answers that we're looking for at our email address at giveemheck@gmail.com. That way we don't have to have any of your personal information like an address or phone number or anything. And also it'll keep it private for you, because when it's sent to our email, no one else sees them but Brian and I. So again, we are still running this promotion. So please feel free to do that, and we'd be more than happy to send you that $20 gift card from Amazon.
Absolutely. We like I said last week, we want to give back to you guys. I know it's only $20. It's not like anything extreme, but as time goes on and Lord willing this becomes a big thing like we want it to, we will be doing more, I guess you could call them promotional stuff.
Yeah.
Promotional? Yeah.
Yeah.
More stuff like that to give back to you guys, because we appreciate every single viewer we get.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where you got to take joy in just reaching that one person, and that's all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, unless you're all set,
I'm all set.
We can get right into the nitty gritty.
God help me. All right, so again, I'm going to read our disclaimer that we're not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We're not giving any medical or psychological advice. We're just simply here to discuss real-life situations, to give hope, encouragement, and instill change. So with that being said, our last episode really?
I got nothing yet.
Yet. In our last episode, we talked about to live among the living. And do you remember what you said, Brian?
Wasn't it something along the lines of learning to live free?
Yeah, like taking your mistakes
and
turning them into a positive, really, is what you had said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you gave that analogy about the 2x4.
Oh, yep.
And I really liked that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Taking a broken piece, and instead of tossing it away, you combine them to reinforce the bridge you're building.
Right.
It's funny about that. There was a person I was talking to yesterday about, we were discussing, what it is to be human, making mistakes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, the way I see it is honest people don't make mistakes. They learn lessons.
Wow.
Because
That's
the
good.
implication there is like, if an honest person, I'm not saying we don't make mistakes, of course we do, but I'm saying like a person with honest integrity will look at their mistake and not think I'm a failure. They'll think I can learn from this. There's failure that leads to success.
Right.
So instead of seeing it as just a flat out mistake, take it as a lesson.
So would you say intention is involved in that?
Intention, mindset, a lot of other things can go into it, but It really does come down to mindset, essentially, because if you focus on the negative all the time, that's all you're going to get back.
Exactly.
There's no positive that can come out of it.
Right.
It's like trying to force two negative or positive or negative ends on a magnet. You're just going to keep...
It doesn't work.
They keep resisting each other.
Mm-hmm.
You need to turn it around to connect the positive and the negative to make a strong connection.
Turn it around. That's good. I like that. Perfect. So we also talked about embracing the new you while finding the old you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I was telling you about how I felt that I needed to embrace the new me, but also by accepting the old parts of me, I wanted to find a way to bring those back into focus for myself in order to be able to live among the living again, because I had felt like I had lost so much of myself personally.
Yeah.
So in that, we also talked about how to be patient with yourself and allow yourself time to work through whatever that situation is, and know that the journey can be long. And in those changes, it's important to find balance of who you are becoming without losing yourself in the process. We talked about slowing down as one of those ways to heal. Remember, I had given the car analogy about how I finally just had to say, you know what, this has to come to a stop for a minute so I can process what's going on and try to remember the good qualities about yourself.
It's not even just really about slowing down, slowing down, stopping. Sometimes it takes those slow moments to go over bumpy roads. It doesn't necessarily mean the road ends.
Right. Or the bumps aren't going to be there.
Because it doesn't do good on a car's tires and suspension when you see a pothole-filled road and you just blast right through it.
Right.
Some journeys take longer than others, and that's okay.
It is okay. I mean, I look back at mine and I sometimes think maybe mine took longer than it should have, but it took what it took. So I don't apologize for that. But, I know other people, Brian, that have lost their mothers. And I don't know if I was on the outside inspecting or looking that situation over.
The outside looking in.
Right. And to me, it looked like they had recovered very quickly. But, what it looks like when you see a person then behind closed doors, you don't know what they're really dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Wounds heal, scars remain.
Exactly. So you might think that someone's getting through it faster, but in reality, maybe in their private times alone, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So this does involve, and you said it earlier, I had to give myself a little smile because you said that this does involve your mindset in order to live among the living again. And we've often said, Brian, that it does have to do with mindset. It does have to do with perspective, right? All those things come into play.
A lot of it comes from mental discipline.
Absolutely.
Weak mind leads to a weak body.
Weak actions?
It all folds in on itself. It all starts with with intent. That's what discipline is. It's intent. Mm-hmm. You bring yourself down to build yourself up again.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just beat yourself down and stay down.
Right.
Because that's easy.
Right.
It takes a real strong mind to say, I may be at my lowest point, but I'm getting back up.
Yeah.
And that shows motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Shows intent. Shows purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You can find purpose through the smallest failures, really.
Right. So, did you want to add anything else before we move on to the podcast today? All right. So in today's podcast, we're going to discuss revived to come alive. So I'm going to ask you the same thing I always do.
It's kind of weird how I'm kind of playing into that a little bit.
You are hitting some points, and I'm like, I don't know if I should comment or wait, but I waited. So what does revived to come alive mean to you?
I think it goes a lot with what I said earlier about, like, learning through failure, or lessons versus mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you bring yourself back through, whether it's through other people's encouragement or, you know, an outlet, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, just your own force of will,
Right.
like refusing to lay down
Mm-hmm.
over it and becoming fulfilled through
Mhm.
that. It's like a fulfillment.
Right. And hopefully a better person, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, you know, mental and physical growth always lead to a betterment,
Mm-hmm.
become a more, I guess you could say, an enhanced version of yourself.
Right.
Because you always come out of struggle stronger.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you don't is if you give up.
Right. Right. So during this time, there are many changes going on with yourself, right? When you're going through the tragedy. And one thing we have always said many times, Brian, is that the change begins with you. And again, you're hitting on so many points that I've already.
Podcast is basically over.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, but please don't go anywhere because it's not.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, it does begin with you. And you had said, Brian, that it can be physically, mentally, or emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really like with the title today of Revive to Come Alive, that is where it is. It's the physical, the mental, and the emotional
Mm-hmm.
that you deal with when you are revived to come alive. And we're going to get into that kind of, deeper here in a minute. So what does that look like? So for me, Brian, I think revive to come alive is this. And yes, it can be physical, mental, emotional, or a combination of all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it involves finding yourself, changing your mindset, and becoming a better person. It involves agreeing to disagree with others and being respectful of others' opinions. It involves being united instead of divided. It involves growth and maturity.
Yeah, that's a very, very good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. Looking in the mirror.
Oh, no, I'm perfect.
He is not.
I'm very far from it.
That's right. So when we started this podcast, Brian, some of the things that we discussed were obviously in the name, right? To bring hope, encouragement, and instill change to everyone. Our goal was not only to help people individually, but coming together was real, bringing people together. Again, we talked about, being respectful of others' opinions and whatnot. And coming together is what happens when we do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of glean off of our podcast tonight over the last week. And there's no doubt that we've seen some really dark days recently.
Mm-hmm. You're not kidding.
And I've often said to you, Brian, I feel sorry that you don't live in the world that I did. And it's hard for me to explain that to you. And I think sometimes it's even harder for you to understand that because, the old adage is you can't miss what you've never had. And I do feel bad for you because your world and what you have to deal with today and grow up in and try to be that better person is so much harder to be that individual than it was for me because we didn't have all and not to say it wasn't there, I'm just saying it's so much more in your face today that you see a lot of the emotions that we didn't see through others. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. A lot more of the negative aspects of life are much more prevalent now than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
At least, like you said, not that they weren't there before, but they're so open.
Right. Everything's right in your face. And you're not only dealing with the aspect of seeing it, but now you have to deal with the emotional part of it and try to work through that to not let it make you that bitter person. Because it can really be easy to go down that road, right?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to let emotion take over.
And we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings versus emotions, right? Yeah. How we really have to keep a check on that because there is a difference between feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
And when emotions rule you,
Yeah, emotions are more grounded, or more grounded in the moment.
yeah.
It's a spur of the moment thing.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings are something that's internal. It's something that's always there, something that can ground you to logic and reason.
Right.
And emotion can drive you to do things that you really didn't want to do, or maybe you did in the moment and would regret later.
Right. Right. But through these times, what we need to remember is that we are all human beings. And the one thing that we should do is to start caring about one another. Harming others physically, mentally, and or emotionally is not okay, no matter what the situation. And I often say, Brian, it's about being the better person.
Yeah.
I don't care if you feel at the moment to do something, you really better stop and analyze that situation.
Yeah. If anything, a spur of the moment reaction, no matter what it is, it definitely shows a lack of discipline and self-respect.
Yeah.
It brings you to a point where you do things that no normal person would, and it makes me almost want to say that you're a coward. That you hide behind your emotions to drive home a point that meant nothing.
Right, because you can drive home a point, so to speak, in so many other ways by being the better person.
Yeah. Or bringing the same kind of energy to a situation you may disagree with. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when I say that, I mean like counteract in a way that is respectable of your situation.
Right.
Like trying to move a rock out of your yard. You don't start throwing all your tools everywhere because you get frustrated that you can't move it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you use those tools to get the rock out.
Right.
And if that doesn't work, you move to the next step.
Right.
Progress.
Mm-hmm.
But when you use emotion to drive a point of not being able to get that rock out, if anything, it brings you at a standstill, or worst case scenario, it can bring you back
mm-hmm.
even further
mm-hmm.
and put you into a deeper hole, so to speak.
Right. So, destroying others because of differences does not make it right, and condoning and cheering for evil is also not okay. At the end of the day, we need to remember that these are fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, husbands, and wives. Hate has no place here, and we need to care about one another no matter what their viewpoint is. And we often talk about change, Brian, and you just talked about stepping. And I had put in here that this may involve taking a step back. I'm going to go even further and say that not only is it a step back, but I think it's a wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Dad often said, Penny, be careful about picking and choosing your battles. Because once you're in the battle, you have to be able to say to yourself, is it okay if I lose?
Yeah, and who even says it's anything about winning or losing? Because
Mm-hmm.
if anything, like we were saying earlier, driving a point home through emotion as opposed to feelings, you can sometimes do the polar opposite of what your intention was. Put you in a much worse situation.
A backfire?
A backfire, yeah. Think about it. You sometimes you can even lead to making more problems.
Right.
Completely making your whole point counterproductive and null and void.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's about checking yourself.
And that's what it all boils down to. Like I was saying at the beginning of this, it's all about personal respect and self-discipline. If you don't have those inherent traits and values within you, you are destined to fail. And I would even dare say, like I said, you're a coward. Hiding behind your feeble emotions for what? For what? You bring somebody else down over their feelings. What have you gained?
Mm-hmm.
You've gained nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, bringing somebody else down is a self-reflection of yourself. Because you know you were destined to fail. You know you were setting yourself up.
Right.
But you'd rather bring somebody down with you.
And to what end? Like, what have you gained from it?
Well, it's like what I just, what I said earlier. You don't gain anything. The only time I ever see, like, I guess what you could say where emotions matter is when a situation reaches a boiling point where logic no longer makes sense. And what do I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you do go back to that rock analogy. Let's say you've done everything you could with that rock,
Mm-hmm.
right? No matter what you do, you can't get it out of your yard. Sometimes it does take dynamite, but that's always a last case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
What often a lot of people do is they'll see a situation and they'll immediately jump to the last resort like it's their only option.
Right.
And they don't prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you've blown that rock up with dynamite, now your house's windows are shattered.
Yeah.
It all leads, emotions
Mm-hmm.
always lead to self-destruction.
Right.
And the problem is a lot of times it's collateral damage that other people get thrown into the mix.
Exactly. So maybe, like, Brian, you talk about stepping back. You talk about, not letting emotions get the best of you. Is it about maybe stopping to look the situation over a little longer?
Either that, or look at what your situation is really costing you. Like, you can, through emotions, you can think that you're losing something, but are you really? Is the situation really as bad as you think it is? Maybe that rock can stay in your yard for a little bit longer, because it really ain't hurting anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept with everything, but that's
Right.
where feelings come in and logic come in.
Mm-hmm.
Puts you in a place of long-term thinking,
And not making a quick,
rash decision that can probably and
Right.
most likely will be worse.
right. Because whatever that situation is, you mentioned backfire. Well, you're going to have to deal sometime with that backfire.
There are always consequences.
Thank you so much. That's where I was leading you, right there. And
There
that's
are-
another thing Dad always said when he said, pick and choose your battles. He said, remember this, Penny, your actions always have consequences, good, bad, or ugly, but you're going to deal with them.
And sometimes your actions can heavily affect others. Sometimes even the people who thought they were innocent. It can put them in a bad position too.
And now, here's your consequences. That's what I'm getting at.
You have to live with the consequences.
Yep.
Now, there's two ways to react to that. You can either take responsibility for your actions and realize that what I did was wrong, and I have to surrender to the consequences, because what is flailing around going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Or, what a lot of people do, because a lot of people that make drastic decisions through emotion, a lot of times they end up making more mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a domino effect.
Right. That's right.
And it's when you get other people involved where it becomes detrimental.
Exactly. That's where you need to be careful.
And that other person that you might be affecting, you don't know if they'll retaliate. Self-preservation is important. It's self-preservation. For those of you who watch our podcast that are, outside of the US, I'm sure you have a basic concept of self-preservation. It's in the animal kingdom, for crying out loud. So you put a person back up against a wall, they're going to defend themselves.
That's right.
Even a cornered rat will bite the cat.
Right.
So you really have to be careful when you put yourself in a position where the thing that, going into the title of this episode, you might revive something that you didn't even know was there.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
I think you said it the other day. I can't remember what the conversation was completely about, but you had said waking the sleeping giant.
I did.
Mm-hmm. And it's that concept that I'm talking about. When you put yourself in a position where you think you have no other option, check yourself.
Yes, please. Because the outcome could be more than you bargained for.
That revival could be very dangerous to the person who made the mistake.
Right.
And that's where personal accountability comes in. And it applies to everybody.
Yeah.
Personal accountability applies to everybody, whether your decisions affect somebody else or not.
Well, our decisions we do make never just affect you.
You don't realize how much it affects people around you.
Absolutely.
And it works both ways, both good and bad.
Yep.
Good actions usually lead to good reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Bad reactions lead to bad consequences.
Right. So when you said about, like I said, maybe it's time to wake up and check yourself. That's what I believe that it means, Brian. I asked you what revive to come alive means. That's what I think of when I think of revive to come alive. It's taking a step back and checking yourself. Because you're responsible for you at the end of the day, no matter how the incident or the situation or whatever you want to call it turns out. It's you at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, it does affect others. And people are going to do what they do. It's sad.
It is.
So, today's podcast isn't going to be extremely long. Was there anything else that you want to add?
I guess bringing it back to the title of, again, this episode, revival and renewal.
Oh, that's good.
It's important for those who live in this world through the last few days, if not week, that we've, experienced. It's important, and especially now, to do a lot of self-reflecting. Bring yourself to a position where you really stop and think about where you're going in life.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't apply to any specific situation, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the ripple effects of everything that's happened. And it has caused a lot of people to stop and really examine themselves.
Yeah.
So for the viewers that are watching, I encourage you to do the same.
Mm-hmm. I know we have. It's taken us back.
It has. The world's crazy. The world is crazy. And if you don't think that the world will have a way of coming back and putting you in a situation where you might need to really think about what you're doing with your friends, your family, coworkers, acquaintances, you don't realize how precious life is.
No.
Until you've lost everything.
Yeah.
So the only thing I have to say in regards to renewal and revival is realize that you have a lot more than you think you do. Cherish that.
Mm-hmm.
Respect that.
Mm-hmm.
and use the God-given knowledge that you have to not use it against people, to lift others up.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important.
It is.
If you don't value
Life,
then what value do you have?
well, you don't respect yourself then.
Case in point. You don't respect others, you don't respect yourself.
Exactly. Right. So with that being said, I would say that one thing among many things that we need to remember is that we are all part of mankind. We are humankind. These include our families, our friends, and those around us. But remember that it starts with you and it starts with me. And I'm hoping, Brian, that through this time in life where we're at, that people will take the time to reflect, and that I hope that there's going to be a positive. You know, respecting each other as human beings, respecting one another's opinions. Because death is never the answer, and of another person. To rejoice in that is not, it's not okay. It's never okay. I don't care who, it's just not okay. Hate just continues hate. There's no end to hate, and it's easy to hate.
Hate has no place.
None.
I don't care who you are, what your beliefs are. Hate has no place. If your viewpoints handicap somebody else, then how much better are you?
Exactly. Yep. And be careful of the consequences, because you don't know what can come of that.
It only takes one spark to start a fire.
That's right.
And the one thing that I absolutely despise about our world is that it's inherently selfish.
Very.
It's prideful. It's wicked. I don't know how anybody can live on this earth and do some of the things that they do with such little regard for other human beings. I'm not going to sit here and play the good guy. I've not liked people. There's people I don't care for. But that doesn't mean I want to bring their lives to a screeching halt.
Well, you and I don't agree on everything, but I still respect you because you're you. And people can say, well, he's your son, that's easy. No, you're a human being. You have the right to your opinion.
At some point, it goes beyond
exactly
the maternal side.
It does.
It goes beyond that, no matter what. Even if another person is downright wrong in their viewpoints, it doesn't mean... There's very specific circumstances where it does. But to me, when there's a call to action, that's when you really have to stop and observe what is the action, what are the consequences of that action, and how is it going to affect other people?
Well, where will it go from there? You know, my hope, as many parents are probably sitting out there, Brian, with, I know you're an adult, but, you know, you're still my kid, is I don't want to leave you in a world like this. What about these generations that are coming up? What are they going to be left with?
We're dealt with the cards that we're given. And that's in every aspect of life. That's been, throughout human history. There's always somebody that doesn't need to be involved. Somebody who doesn't need to know. But at the end of the day, as I stated, all it takes is one spark to start a fire. How you react to that fire is what the important thing is.
Right. Actions have consequences.
Yep. And they can either lead to something good or something bad.
Yep.
But whatever those things are, you have to be willing to deal with the consequences of that. Because it's one of those things where you don't realize who you're affecting and how they'll react.
Exactly.
They could have just about as strong of a reaction as you did.
Right.
I always tell my friends that the line between good and evil is very thin.
It is.
And it's very easy to lose track of what's what. Good, right, evil, wickedness. All of these things can be easily tossed over that line to justify a false point. That's where you need to have the the feelings to understand personal discipline, self-respect, and forward thinking.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to leave you with a quote like I always do that, again, I found on one of my friends' Facebook is, people who introduce you to new ways of thinking and new ways of life are so important. I guess I'd have to add a little bit to that, Brian, and just say the quote is true. But even when someone gives you a new way to think or, gives you a new avenue to have a different perspective, even though you may not agree, maybe one thing you could do is, and I'm just throwing this out there, is maybe research for yourself. I'm not saying you have to ever agree with them. They may be totally wrong as far as you're concerned. Maybe there might be half-truths to it because it fits your bill, so to speak. But maybe look into it. And I say that because you're a really heavy researcher. And
I am.
You are. And you try not to draw conclusions just off of maybe a Facebook post or,
emotion.
You know what I mean, emotion or whatever. You really do deep dives. That might help people to figure out
it's like
where it lies.
The analogy I could use to help maybe people watching understand is it's like getting work done to your car. It's always good to get a second opinion. I'll give you a personal example. I used to have a vehicle a couple of years ago that I took in for service at a dealership. And they told me I had to get my entire cooling system replaced for an issue. Would have cost me a lot of money. I could have gone with that first response. I could have easily given into that. Say, I just want it done. Short-term thinking. But instead, I went to another dealership. Showed them the exact same problem. Come to find out that all that needed to be replaced was one part. So that shows two things. Number one, and most importantly, it shows my foresight, thinking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And it also shows the greediness of that dealership to exploit me to make more money. You can apply that into everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Foresight's important.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with you, as
Right.
we've said.
Right.
But you also have to examine what the person next to you is doing.
Mm-hmm.
What's their intention?
Mm-hmm.
And that intention can help you make a forward-thinking decision. Like I said, I could have easily given to that first
Right.
quote.
Right.
I didn't have to question them.
Mm-hmm.
What do I know? I don't know
Right.
nothing about this system they're talking about.
Right.
But I was like, something ain't right. And intuition, you could call it that. But I thought ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Put the decision in my own hands. And used common sense to help me make a better decision.
Mm-hmm.
That applies
To everyday
to everything.
life.
That applies to everyday. take that analogy to what you will.
Yep. So you didn't just take the first thing you were told. You looked into it. That's what I'm talking about. Just because somebody says one thing to you, you shouldn't just automatically assume that that's what it
is.
That's what it is. Sometimes it's not just black and white.
Well, I always
Dig
encourage,
deep.
if we talk about, research and stuff like that, I always encourage people. It's like when I talk to people, and I've mentioned it on this podcast many times about my friends coming to me with questions, problems, whatever. I always tell people, don't take my word for it.
Right.
Just because you like my answer doesn't mean that I might be wrong or right. And a lot of times they're like, wow, I didn't see it from that perspective when they looked into it deeper from another source. And they come to me with more questions.
Right. Yep.
It's your willingness to put yourself behind your emotions and let your feelings and your foresight guide you.
Right.
Never be spur of the moment.
Right.
It never leads to anything good.
And it's good to listen to people, even if they don't agree with you, because, like, for me, I want to know why people think the way they do.
I'm the same way.
I want to know why you think that way.
It's like some of my friends that I first meet, they oftentimes approach me very differently than how people who obviously know me do, because they think I'm standoffish and I'm not. And then the more they learn about me, the more they listen to me in regards to feelings, emotions, ideas. And I think I've said this in a prior episode, but when you shut yourself off to other perspectives, it doesn't gain you anything. It puts you in a bubble.
Right.
And that can lead to problems in and of itself.
Right.
Putting yourself in an isolated mindset can oftentimes lead you to make drastic decisions.
Yep.
And sometimes those decisions can hurt other people. And they often do.
Consequences, friends. And that's why I like to hear other people's sides. And again, I may not always agree with them, but I respect myself enough to respect them. To say, let's just have this conversation. And it's okay.
Doesn't hurt.
Because I'm not looking for a bad ending to this. That's never my intention. Because like you said, Brian, you don't know where that can lead. You wake up a sleeping giant.
You may have just caused a bigger problem than you already thought you had.
Exactly. So we're going to wrap it up unless you have anything else you want to add.
Nope, I'm all set.
You're good? Okay. So again, guys, remember that we're giving away a $20 Amazon gift card. Please email us at giveemheck@gmail.com. Tell us which episode you liked or watched. Well, the same thing.
Same difference.
Same difference. Why you liked it and how it helped you specifically. And I'm going to leave you with our saying. Believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know that your best is always good enough.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Good night.